comprehensive planning, zoning, you know, those things that apply, you know, to us as landowners, as individuals. But also, I've had the opportunity to serve as president of the West Virginia Farm Bureau for the past several years, and I've seen some of the direct impacts that folks have had to experience where, you know, here in West Virginia, whether it be in the Eastern Panhandle, Harrison County, Greenberg, North County areas, Wood County, there are different areas in the state that, you know, have put full-blown zoning in place, and, you know, really, you know, you're nibbling around the edges when you talk about planning the plan or planning, because planning means nothing without zoning. How are you going to enforce a plan without zoning ordinances in order to do what elected officials want to do? That's the bad part in my mind. You know, having a plan, you know, anybody can plan what they want to do. I plan what I want to do on my farm. But, you know, I don't want to have a handful of people in the courthouse determining exactly what I'm going to do on my property, how I'm going to manage my land, and I don't think a lot of other folks in this county want that either. But, you know, what I've had the opportunity to see over the years where planning and zoning have been put in place in other counties in West Virginia. Usually what happens is that, you know, those things get put in place. You know, they sound good to start with. You know, it looks like you're going to have you know, a comprehensive plan. And, you know, we're going to, you know, everybody's going to get along. It's going to go along, get along. Everything's going to be fine. But the point has already been made here tonight. You know, if we would have had this a few years ago, you know, snowshoe probably wouldn't be here. Maybe, you know, a lot of folks in this room maybe wouldn't be here because, you know, maybe you'd be the ones that have been zoned out. You know, what usually happens is that whenever you get these things put in place, average, ordinary folks like me, other landowners, other farmers, other business folks, they're the ones that get hurt by zoning and planning because we're the ones that usually get restricted. Most of the time, if you have enough political influence or money, it doesn't matter what zoning ordinance you have in place anyway, you can get a variance to most any ordinance out there. You know, a lot of times they're trying to stop the Walmart from coming in. You know, with their zoning and their zoning ordinance thing, very seldom does it ever work. Usually money and the influence wins out. So usually who ends up getting managed in this process is the average ordinary folks, you and me. That's the part I don't like. You know, it seems like today, you know, whether it's at the federal level or state level, or, you know, coming down to the local level, it seems like we have too many government officials that are looking to give too much government control to too many things. And, you know, there's enough laws, there's enough regulations, you know, believe me, you know, I deal with EPA regulations, I deal with DEP regulations every day. There's plenty of regulations, there's plenty of rules, there's plenty of other things on the books today. There's more than enough that the folks can enforce to manage things and keep things on an even keel. But to put planning and zoning and to give, like I say, a handful of folks in the courthouse the opportunity to determine what I'm going to do on my property, I don't want any part of it. You know, I hope the people in this county will stand up and say no to zoning. I think it is a bad thing. I don't see, and like I say, all the other areas of this state, other states that I've been familiar with, I've never heard folks say that your work's been implemented, you know, I'm glad we did that, or it was a good thing. All it does is add to cost. There has to be funding to do this. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars in cost to do a cost. This county, you know, to implement planning and zoning, that has to come from somewhere. It may be, you know, supposedly there's grants and things that are coming now that will help pay for it. Believe me, in the long run, you know, there's permitting fees, there's impact fees, you know, there's all kinds of fees and costs that each and every one of us, our kids or grandkids that want to build a house, want to do anything, have to pay. But there's a whole myriad of things that you know, we just don't need to go to. I think folks in this county, we talk about how great Pocahontas County is. I think we've done a pretty decent job of taking care of this county, you know, over the generations, without having a heavy-handed government. And you know, I for one, you know, I think we've got enough government control from the federal, state, and you know, here on the local level. I think it's another layer of bureaucracy and control that we do not need. And you know, I think a lot of people in this county agree with that.